So what can you do to help either elevate your general level of motivation or to boost your motivation if you're feeling a little bit motivated? So I've come up with 18 tips and I'm going to go through these with you now. This will also be accompanied by a blog that I've written on the topic, and I've also laid this out in a simple PDF document that you can download. So the first one then is to set a compelling goal. So set a goal that you want to achieve, something that means something to you and something that is achievable. This is the first and most important step in getting and keeping motivated. You can write it down, or you can draw it, or you can create a vision board and keep it handy as a reminder. Now, if you need any examples for this, I've done a workshop on vision, so you can refer to that as well. The second point then is sharing your goals with others. So to have the best chance of actually achieving your goals can be greatly increased when you share it with other people. So there's two reasons for this. For the first one is that you can gain more clarity about your goal and how to achieve it. So in talking your goal out loud, having conversations with others, sharing it, telling people that you're doing it, you might actually get some clarity around what you're doing and sharpen your goals. People might suggest you do something, or they might say, have you thought about this? And it might put another idea in your head. The other great thing is that you can receive some accountability for your goal. So sharing your goal with a friend or a family member makes this goal kind of more real, more tangible, and it's no longer just a note in a journal or something in your head. Now, others can hold you accountable by asking you about the progress that you're making towards your goal, and also you can give them regular updates as well. The third thing then is setting yourself up for success, so the right conditions or the right environment. So this could be literally anything. I spoke previously about a book called Tarzan and Jane, and the lady talks about her cashmere socks moment, which is when she puts her special socks on that she feels comfortable in. Now, for you, it might be about buying the right equipment, it might be creating a sacred time or a sacred space, or starting the day, each day on the right foot. Whatever works for you, and you need to know what works for you, identify it and put the necessary steps in place from the start to give you the best chance of success and to keep you motivated. So the fourth one then is about setting measurements and milestones. So we've heard the old adage, what gets measured gets done, but goals often need kind of chunking down. So sometimes the goal just might be too big. So say you want to run a marathon, you can't just go out and run a marathon today. Or say you want to find a new job or set up a business, you can't just go and do this today. You actually need to chunk it down into different components, ones that are kind of bite-sized and achievable. So you can do this in two ways. You can either work forward from your goal to the ultimate achievement of that goal, or you can have that vision of what it looks like when it's done and work backwards from it. So you can work in two different ways for this. But once you've got that, you can use these different components to work out the order that they need to happen in, the timing, any dependencies, any equipment or support that you need from these. And it's also useful to kind of set periodic times and milestones or stages where you can evaluate your progress along these different components. The fifth one then is about getting support and accountability. So with the best will in the world, and often with the best intentions, it can be quite hard sometimes to achieve our goals all alone. So it's really important to identify upfront before you start and get a bit lost in it, but upfront what support you might need. So are there some skills or expertise that you might lack? So do you need to kind of get some training, read a book, do some research, or do you need to use somebody else that can help you with this? It might be useful to work with others that have got complementary skills, but you can do some service swaps, or it might be about finding an accountability partner to help you along the way. So working with a coach, for example, can be useful in any of these stages. The sixth one is about showing up no matter what. So consistency when you're working towards a goal and trying to keep motivated is really important. And sometimes this is about showing up even when you really don't feel like it. Or sometimes when obstacles get in the way. But that consistency and that continually showing up will mean that you're continually clocking up progress towards your longer term goal. And also there's the added advantage of practice makes perfect. The seventh one is taking pride in hard work. So be proud of what you do, the effort that you put in, the contribution that you make, and if you need to, anchor this feeling of pride. So we've used anchors in some of the other workshops. I'm actually going to put together a separate little video on anchors because I think this is so useful and they are so powerful and they can be used in lots of other areas. So look out for anchors and let me know how you get on, or ask me any questions if you need some help with this. What's next? Inspiring and motivating others. So sometimes it's hard to inspire and motivate ourselves. Maybe we feel it's selfish or self-indulgent, or it just feels a bit weird. But actually sometimes it might be easier to inspire and motivate others. So imagine you have a friend with a goal and they need some help with it. And actually, maybe you do have a friend with a goal, and so you can help those. What can you do to kind of share your progress or give them some tips and help them along the way? Maybe you know people that are following similar goals. Maybe they're people in your work team or people that you've met on forums or anything else like that. But anything that you can do to kind of help and inspire others could also help to inspire and motivate you as well. Make it count. So sometimes it's easier just to kind of go through the motions rather than putting in the maximum effort. So if you catch yourself doing this, make sure that you take note of it, but also make sure what you're doing actually counts towards progress. So it might be that you're working really hard, but it might not actually be contributing properly to your end goal. And I noticed this myself when I was running during the lockdown. Normally this time of year I'm training for some kind of event, but all the events have been cancelled. And I was just kind of running and it didn't really feel particularly good. I was getting out there and doing it, so good on me for doing that. But because I wasn't really working towards a goal, it was hard to be motivated. So I caught myself doing it and then actually gave myself some goals, and that helped to motivate me. If you're just going through the motions, ultimately you're only kidding yourself rather than other people. So make sure what you're doing counts. So it counts towards the goals and you're giving it your best effort as well. So let me switch on to the next slide now. So the next one is remind yourself why you're doing what you do. So often we're so caught up in life, we kind of forget that what we're doing is contributing to a bigger goal. So keep a copy of your written or your drawn out goals or your vision plan or whatever, and look at it regularly. So if you can keep it somewhere visible, that's great. If you just have a reminder to go and get it out occasionally and have a look at it, that's great. And check that your efforts again are aligned with what you're doing, and if they're not, just make an adjustment. So it might be that you need to make little tweaks to course correct, or it might be actually that you need to start doing something or stop doing something else. So the next one is seeing obstacles as opportunities. So there will always be obstacles and there will always be distractions that crop up along the way. That is just life and we are just human. However, how we perceive these obstacles can be really important. So if we perceive them as obstacles that are kind of getting in our way and we get distracted by them and we stop doing what we're trying to do and they slow down our progress, that can be frustrating, but it can be quite damaging in terms of how motivated we feel. If on the other hand we see these as opportunities to learn or challenge what we're doing and see them as things to overcome, then hopefully this will help to not negatively impact our motivation and actually help to motivate this. So I actually see them as a bit of a game sometimes because, you know, when everything's kind of coming at you from different angles and you're thinking, how am I ever going to get through this, or how am I going to get through the day? So I kind of see it as a game. Frogger is what I imagine. So a game from the 80s, if you're same age as me or similar. And so Frogger was where you were trying to cross the river on a log and you had all these things coming at you, or you were just trying to, I don't know, there were logs and frogs and things like that, but just lots of things coming at you. And as you go up the levels, kind of things were going faster or more things were coming your way. And sometimes I just see it as a bit of a game. So, you know, who's going to step out in front of my car, or who's going to, you know, call and, you know, interrupt me when I'm trying to do something, or whatever. So if you see it as a bit of a game, might lighten up what you're trying to do, and hopefully won't dent your motivation too much, and might even help you feel better. Schedule a few inspirational activities each week. So sometimes we wait till things get tough and those obstacles crop up, and then we try and do something about it. But I think actually if we proactively put some things in our diary each week that help to motivate us, that help remind us of our goal, or it might be something kind of complementary, some study time or some time out, and maybe checking in with others who are on similar journeys, so you know how you're kind of getting on and you can motivate each other. Or maybe it's like an accountability session with peers or a coach or something like that. So I think if you proactively put these in your diary, then it can be really useful in terms of helping to keep your motivation up rather than waiting until it dips a bit. Now, similar to this is knowing how to pick yourself up again. So, you know, we might get delusioned, or we might fall off the wagon, or whatever it is at some point. We are only human. But it's really important that you know how to pick yourself up, dust yourself off and get on with it again. So, you know, get back on the horse, I guess. So it's really important to remind yourself of your goal. Why are you doing what you're doing? Why is it important to you? We'll look at all the progress that you've made so far. So often we're looking in the future and we're like, oh, we've got so far to go. But actually when we look back and we see the progress that we've made, it can be quite empowering, quite motivating. And then also identify a few things that help to inspire or motivate you when the going gets tough, or to encourage you to keep going. So just going back to a running analogy, when I've run races in the past, I have to be very careful on my sugar levels. I get very kind of shaky and weak and things. So I had to bring some sweets and snacks with me along the way to kind of top myself up. So if I could feel myself getting a bit shaky, I would proactively take little bites of my jelly babies along the way, rather than wait until I felt really dreadful, which was then too late to do much about it. Scheduling downtime for yourself. So this is a really, really important one. So downtime is important both for kind of rest and recuperation as well, but also to kind of clear your mind and refresh that. If you are working hard at your goal, or just working hard, just doing busy work, often you get tired, a bit lethargic, your energy depletes, your motivation wanes. So it's really important to give yourself a regular downtime for that physical and mental recovery as well. So this keeps things fresher and often has the added bonus of sparking some new inspiration as well. It's really important, number 15, to remember that you don't have to do anything. You are choosing to do this. So those goals that you set right back at number 1, you chose to do those, okay? And okay, you might say, well, I didn't choose to do them. This is part of my job. My boss set it, or a client set it, whatever. Ultimately, that choice is with you. You are choosing to stay in that job. You are choosing to work for that boss. You are choosing to run your business. You are choosing to work with that client. You don't have to do anything. So ultimately, it is a choice that you've made. And life is full of choices. So this is something that you've chosen to do, whether you realise it or appreciate it or acknowledge it or not. And if you're choosing to do it, then do it justice. If you're not choosing to do it, then stop, okay? And concentrate your efforts elsewhere instead, somewhere that you do feel more compelled, you do feel more motivated. Number 16, really important one. So surround yourself with a tribe of motivated people. So I think it was Jim Rohn that said, you know, you are the average of the 5 people that you spend time with. I always thought this was a bit harsh, you know, sometimes we don't choose with who we spend time with if we're kind of related to them or whatever. But I think it's useful to say that, people attract people, you attract like-minded people, and actually, it can be useful to take a note of the people that you are spending time with, and actually, are they having an impact on your motivation and your ability to get things done? So give yourself a natural boost by spending time with more positive people, and more motivated people particularly. Now, you might need to make some choices about who you spend time with today, or it might be adding in another layer. So something like Best Foot Forward, we're all motivated by personal development, we all want to do our best. So coming together and giving yourself a boost of this motivation could be useful. You might also want to identify some specific people that you want to spend time with. Maybe these are people at work, maybe these are friends that always kind of give you that boost. Or people that have gone through that specific goal before and you think these could be useful people to hang out with. So going back to, if you're the average of those 5 people, remember you also have a duty to motivate that group. You don't want to be pulling those down. If not, you might find people avoiding you in the same way that you might be trying to avoid others as well. Number 17, track your progress and share with others. So we said right back at the beginning that one of the really important things is about sharing your goal with other people, because this can help give you clarity but keep you accountable as well. So if you're tracking your goal or your progress against your goal, against milestones, and giving regular updates, this can be a really powerful way of kind of keeping motivated, because you don't want to let people down, or you don't want it to appear that actually you've not been working towards your goal. And these can either be to people that are directly or indirectly kind of affected by your goal. They might be interested parties, they might be people that are supporting you. Maybe you've been sponsored for an event, and you have a duty to these people to keep them updated. These could be specific accountability partners that you're working with, or it could be on social media in terms of putting a post out there saying what you're doing and how you're getting on. And the final one, really, really important one. So this might not seem like motivation, but actually sometimes when the going gets tough, it can be really important to remember what the end goal is. So that in itself might be motivating enough, but actually give yourself some extra reason to be motivated. And remember to celebrate success in some way when you reach your ultimate goal. So it might be, going out for a meal, or having a bottle of champagne, or having a treat with some friends, or giving yourself a day off. It can be anything, but that means something to you. And it might be important as well to give yourself some rewards, or celebrating that success as you're meeting milestones along the way, particularly if they're particularly difficult ones that you need something to help you motivate through. And make the celebration commensurate with the level of success. So, it doesn't always need to be related to what you're doing. So if you've lost loads of weight, it doesn't mean go out and have a meal, but it might be if you've lost some weight, you might treat yourself to a new top or something like that. So just make sure it's about on the same level as well. Don't go out and blow your budget or whatever just by completing a milestone, but doing something that makes sense to you and that will keep you motivated. So there you have it. Those were my 18 top tips for increasing motivation levels generally, but also giving you a boost if you feel that your motivation is waning. I hope they were useful.